Hello. Today we're going to go through a scenario that allows us to combine some data and some graphics in Photoshop. The scenario would be that you have a soccer mom and she wants to get tumblers made for all her child's teammates' moms as well. So they all want tumbler designs in a soccer theme, of course, and they also want to have their child's name and number on it, and probably their own name as well. So there's 3 steps to do this. The first step is to create your design file, and that would have the soccer theme on it. Next, you would create a data set with all the names of the children, the names of the mothers, and the numbers of the children as well. And finally, you would have to link it all together, and then you would run off all your files. And each file would be individually done with the child's name, the mother's name, and the number. Then all you need to do is print them out and sublimate your tumblers. So it's pretty easy to do, and we're going to start by creating the graphics file. So when you're creating a tumbler wrap, you start off with a file at 300 dpi and it's 9.3 inches wide by 8.2 inches high. The color on this, I think I'm going to use like a color of green on the bottom and a blue on the top, like that old Windows screen that used to come up there. It looks like a big field. So let's pop over into VectEasy. That's where I get a lot of my graphics. I am subscribed to it. I forget what I pay for it a month. I think it's around $20 or something like that. But you get unlimited access to all kinds of graphics, and I do a lot of work in Illustrator as well. So all the graphics are vectorized. They're all made in Illustrator, and then most of them are converted also to a PNG file or a JPEG or something you can use in Photoshop without having to go grab it out of Illustrator. So let's look for a field. I'll just type in field. I just want to get a background for this. Wow, there's lots there. So it doesn't look like this is going to be a seamless pattern. I might be able to do that. I'll show you how that's done as well. I kind of like this one. Let's do this one, and we'll grab a soccer ball as well. We're just going to keep it simple to design for this, because the whole purpose is not to design a file, it's to show you how to combine some data with the graphics. So let's just download this. Grassy Hill, double click, open your zip file, close that. We're going to open the JPEG version of that, not the EPS, because we're not going to open it in Illustrator right now. Okay, so now that I have my file open, you can see that as a background. We're just going to take the lock off of that, and it changes it from background layer to layer 0. So we're going to hit Control A and Control C, and that'll copy it. Now we're going to go back into our original file, and we're going to hit Paste, Control V. Now you can see that it pasted a lot smaller than the size of our our tumbler file. We're going to stretch it out a little bit. The way Photoshop is now, the newer Photoshop, you can stretch stuff out quite a bit without any loss. So while you're stretching it, it looks kind of pixelated here. Let's just zoom that in so you can see. But after you confirm the selection, it goes back to smooth again. So let's just click this little check mark up here. Okay, you see how it changed? The little blades of grass are really smooth. This is showing this at, let's see, 50%. So if I zoom that in to 100, it still looks pretty good. For a tumbler wrap, it looks very good. Okay, so zoom it out again. A little bit too much, zoom it back. Okay, so this is what our tumbler wrap is going to look like. Next, we want to get a soccer ball. So we're going to go back to VectEasy, and I'll type in soccer ball. So CCERBALL, soccer ball. Okay. I don't know whether to go with the more clip arty type or the more photorealistic. I think I'll just go with the clip art type. This one looks pretty good. All the graphics on here you can download for free if you're subscribed for it, which is very handy because you don't have to buy your graphics. You get unlimited access. So double click on the JPEG version of that to open it in Photoshop. You don't even have to extract it. So we're going to just turn this from a background into a regular layer, and we're going to get rid of all this white around here. So to do that, you just grab your magic wand tool, you make sure contiguous is checked up top here, and you hit your magic wand tool and just hit delete, and that'll take that right out. Now Control D deselects it. Now we want to get rid of this little shadow on the bottom here, and just click it with your magic wand and hit delete, and that's gone too. So Control D to deselect. Now in our layers panel here, you can just right click on the little thumbnail and say select pixels, and now it's ready to copy. So you hit Control C, go back over to your original file, which is your Tumblr design file, and hit Control V. Okay, so that's kind of big. I don't know how that would look on the Tumblr itself. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Hit Control T while you got that layer selected, whatever layer you have selected, and hit Control T. That's the layer you're going to be able to resize. So you do have a transformation panel at the top here. You can type in the percentage of the original, number of pixels you want, number of inches you want, whatnot. But when you're just doing something this simple, you just grab the corner here until you get the little diagonal line with the arrows on each end, and you can drag it down as small as you want. I think that looks pretty good there. Okay, so I'm just going to move that up a little bit to about right here and hit enter. Okay, that looks good. Now the thing about 20-ounce skinny tumbler is that you want the design to be seamless. So how am I going to make this seamless? It's quite easy actually. So you just choose your background layer here, which is this one. And now that you got that chosen, you go up into filter and go down into other and click offset. So you can see what happens here. You get a line. So let's cancel that. We're going to go Control A. That selects the whole bounds of the document. Zoom that out a little bit. Okay, that selects the whole thing. But if you didn't have that selected and you click on that layer and you hit Control T, you can see that it extends way beyond the bounds of the document. We want to get rid of all this that's outside. So in order to do this, just click this layer, hit Control A. Now we're just going to go Image, Crop. Now you deselect it, Control D, and when you go Control T now, it's exactly the same size as the document. So that's what we want. So now we're going to try to do an offset to see how seamless it would be. I know it's not going to be seamless because this layer is lower. This side is lower than this side. So you're going to have like a weird little spot in the middle here. Let's go Filter, Other, Offset. So you can see it right here. You can see that that little spot is right here. So that might be a good place to put your soccer ball to cover that up. Say OK. What that does, it offsets it. So whatever you got your pixels set to, it'll take it and it'll move it over by that much. So these are actually the original edges of the document, and now they're combined. So these edges were a contiguous piece of the design, and it was just cut exactly down the middle. So this will be totally seamless when you press your tumbler, if you press it properly. Okay, so we'll put the soccer ball here to hide the little spot. Okay, alrighty. So let's combine these layers now. Shift and select them all. And we're going to go right click, merge layers. Now you got one solid image. So if I go back up in here now and I do that offset again, I'm not going to get a weird spot in the middle because it's going to match up perfectly because that's where the edges came from in the first place. So offset. So you see it's totally seamless. No matter how much you offset it by, it's going to be seamless. Even if you put the soccer ball right out onto the side. If you printed, oops. See, you got part of this soccer ball here, and it's the other part here. So when you wrap that around a tumbler, that'll join up. But a lot of people don't take the time to make sure their edges match up perfectly. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to put it back. We're not going to put it dead in the middle. We're going to put it off to the side a little bit. There, I think that looks good. All right. Okay, so there's our tumbler design so far. Next thing we're going to do is add a text layer. And this is going to be called the child's name. And I think we'll use the last name for that. I got a varsity font here somewhere, I think. What's a good font for that? Varsity Team Bold. Okay. So we're going to call that layer child's name. Child's name. Okay, so I'm just thinking, it would depend really, I guess, on how old the children are, whether you want the first name or last name. Well, let's just say we're talking 10-year-olds here. So let's make this, what color should we make it? Black. Okay. So what I was thinking is that we can have a bar down the mid, not the middle, exact middle, but next to the soccer ball where the child's name would go. So let's do that. First we're going to rotate this. So we're going to go Control T, and right up top here in our transformation bar we'll just type in 90, and that's a 90-degree angle. Okay. Now that's a pretty long string of text there, so we're going to change that to something like an average name, like Michael or Stephen or something like that. Let's click it and change it to a Stephen. S-T-E-P-H-E-N. Okay. So next thing we want to put a little banner behind that. So let's get our rectangle marquee tool here, and we're going to click on child's name, and we're going to add, or click on your background layer actually, and click Shift Control N, and that's going to give us a new layer, and we're just going to call that banner. And we are going to make a rectangle on that banner. Rectangle, and we're going to fill it with, we'll do it white for now, but we're going to change it after. Actually, the white and the black might look pretty good because it might match the soccer ball. So if you got a little short name like Joe or Tim or something like that, it's going to look a little weird. How are we going to do this? Oh well, we'll just leave it as is for now. Alright, so child's name is your first variable that you're going to have in your data source. So the next bit of data we're going to put in here is going to be the child's number. So let's say Stephen's number is 47. 47. Okay, maybe we'll put that up here. So click on your selection tool and hit Control T, and now you can stretch that text out as big as you want it. Oh, I think I might know what to do with this. Let's put this up here, and we can move the name down a little bit. There. Okay, that looks pretty good. Make the number a little bit bigger, so just click on your layer. That's actually a text layer. You can tell by the little T in the thumbnail there. Hit Control T, stretch it out. You don't want it too big. That looks pretty good. That'll look good on it's going to be pretty big on a tumbler actually. Okay. Let's leave it like this. Move it down a little tiny bit because you don't want it right up to the top. Okay, and we'll click the child's name as well and drag that down as well a little bit. And we're just also going to check this text to make sure that it's centered. Yep, it's up here in your options up here. it shows that this text is centered. So when we click it and type in new text, it's not going to start from the beginning. It's going to align center-wise. And same with, yeah, same with that. So when we import our data set, it'll align center-wise instead of off to the left. Because if we got one that's like an 8, we don't want the 8 to be just right here where the 4 is and not have anything where the 7 is. It'll put the 8 right in the middle. Okay. So the next thing we're going to have here is the mom's name, I guess. And we'll put that here in a nice font. Let's see. Let's find a nice one. Personally, I like the Christmas font. Christmas font, that's it. Oh, not for that though. I started selecting fonts before I came off that layer. Okay, let's just get our selection tool, or move tool I should say. I always call that selection tool. Now we're going to make a new text layer and then we can choose our font. So we'll click here, we'll go up here and we'll choose that Christmas font. Today. Oh, I guess I gotta highlight the text. Duh. Let's pick a different one. Okay, it worked that time, so let's go back and pick our Christmas font again. There. So let's say the mom's name is Krista. K-R-I-S-T-A. So we're going to put Krista right here, and we're going to hit Control T, and we're going to give it a little bit of an angle. Which way is better? I like there. I like that. Okay. So that should still work if it's a real big long name. I think that'll work. You want it big enough so that you can see the mom's name on there. Now one final thing I'm going to put right here is Proud Soccer Mom. So let's do that in the same font. So we'll click our text tool here and we'll click over here and we'll just type out proud, or one proud soccer mom. Okay, so we'll haul that up here. That looks a little big. I'm going to make it a little tiny bit smaller. But you got to remember that this is going on a tumbler and there's only so much area that you can see at one given time, so you don't want any of the elements so big that you can't see them. Okay, I think that's good there. Okay, so we got 3 data sources here that we got to be able to update. So we want to give them distinct names. So I got child's name done. So let's rename this layer. And to rename the layer, you just click on the name that's already there. And we'll call this child's number. And we're going to click on Krista, and we're going to change that to mom name. Okay. So now that we got our design all finalized, we're just going to set up our data. We're going to do that in a notepad file. So I've already started it. I got 3 headings here: child, mom, and number. So we got James as the child, Lindsay as the mom, and James' number is 34. We got Jeffrey, mom is Jennifer, number is 81. I got some data here that I've written down, and I'm just going to quickly enter that in. So each section here, each individual entry has to be separated by comma. A-R-O-N, no spaces. Mom is Alexandra, and the number is 33. Next child is Dylan, comma, Terry, comma, and 27. Stephen. Crystal is the mom. Number 7, Caleb. Erica is his mom. And his number is 11. We'll do a couple more. Nicholas. Mom is Denise. And his number is 5. David. Mom is Misty. And number is 38. Paul. Mom is Victoria. And his number is 46. And we got Jimmy. Mom is Emily. And his number is 59. Okay, so we're going to save this to our documents folder. File, save as. Let's see. Documents. I got all kinds of crap in there. We're going to call it Soccer Mom Variables. And it says text here, but we're just going to type in at the end of it .csv. When we save it now, it'll save it as a CSV file. So save. And we're just going to get rid of that for now. We're not going to close it in case we have any issues with it. So now we got to go into image. We're going to link the data set to our design. So we go into image in Photoshop, go to variables and define. So now we're going to tell it which set of data in our data file to link with which text entry here. So the text layers that we're using for the data is child's name, child's number, and mom's name. So in order to do that, we got to make the linkages right here. So we're just going to go through our data set here. In the define field, there's two different sections to this part. There's define and data sets. The first one is where you link your variables to your layers, and the second one is where you tell it which CSV file to pull the data from. So we're going to start with define. Okay, so banner is this white part here, this white section. We don't want to link that. One proud soccer mom, that's constant. That's going to be on all the tumblers. The first variable that we're going to have here is mom name. That's the name of the layer. So down here we want to click text replacement, and in our CSV file that bit of data is called mom, M-O-M. Okay, so we click back here, child's number, click text replacement, and that's represented in our CSV file by the column number, N-U-M-B-E-R. And again, we go back into our layers, and we click on child's name. You can see how the ones that you have defined already, I have the little star by them, the asterisk. So child's name, and in our CSV file we have that represented with the word child. Okay, so now that we have that done, we go next. And now we're going to tell it Photoshop which CSV file to use. So we don't have one there right now. We're going to click on import and select file. I save that in my documents, so click on documents, and it doesn't show up there because it's looking for a text file. So let's see. So down here it says text file. We're going to look for CSV file. So you click on the drop down and there's two choices, text or CSV. Click CSV, and soccer mom variables, that's the file we're looking for. So double click on that, or actually click on it and hit load. Okay, so it pulls that information into Photoshop, and you click on OK. And you can see this box populates, shows you the first record, and it shows you the mom's name and the child's number. And if you scroll through the data sets by clicking this little arrow here, you can see the information updates for each different record. And we have 10 records in here, so we just You click through, you can pick either one. Okay, so that's the last record, Jimmy Emily 59. That's the last record I entered. So if you temporarily want to see what that one will look like, you can just hit apply. And you see how your template updates. So for the longest time I was doing this, and I would click on each record, hit apply, and then save the file. And little did I know there's a way that you can just generate them all as PSD files right away, supposing you have 2 or if you have 100. So now that you have that linked up and it's working, just click OK. Now this is where the real magic is going to happen. You're going to go File, Export, Export as PNG. No, we don't want to do that. We just keep going down. Data sets as files. So let's click that. And you get a little box come up here. It asks you which folder you want to save it in. So we're going to choose a folder. So under Documents, probably not the best place. I do have a file structure I use for my actual work that I do, but I don't want to get this mixed up into it. See, right click, New, Folder. We're going to call this Soccer Mom Tumblers. Once you hit the name on it, you just hit enter, and now you double click on that, and it'll save these files in here. So we're going to go select folder, and so we've created the folder we want to save it into, and we've selected that folder, so that's where these files will save. For the data set, it says all data sets, or you can just choose one data set. So it's all or one. You can't, I don't think you can hit multiple. Let's see if we can. Data set 1. No, it only lets you choose one. So it's all or one. So we'll choose all. So document name, right now this is called Untitled Recovered. So that's what it's going to save it as. Unless, let's see, let's take that out and we'll call it Soccer Mom Tumbler. The next is going to be an underscore, data set number, and extension. We want to choose extension. Oh, extension is not there. It'll automatically add the extension. And right now the file extension is set to PSD. And that's your only choice, is uppercase PSD or lowercase PSD. So this is going to save this to 10 PSD files. So there is a way to quickly change them all to a PNG file. So we'll do that right now. So we'll just generate these files just by clicking OK. But before I do that, I'm going to bring up the folder that I've set up for these files to save into, so you can see as it's saving. Okay, so this is going to run through a loop now, and it's going to go through each record, and it's going to make that file. So now we're going to hit OK. Now it's making the files. So you can see them being made here. And as quickly as that, it got all these files made. So if I double click on number 10, it should say Jimmy. So here we go. Let's just pull that out so we can see the name. It named it Soccer Mom Tumbler 10. And that's your wrap. So when you print that, that'll make a beautiful little tumbler. So one more problem we got is that you got all PSD files here, so you can't see any thumbnails unless you had a particular plugin that you put in, so you could be able to look at and see the actual graphics in the thumbnails. So let's change this to large icons. And you can see, because it says PSD file, you don't get a preview of it. So there's an easy way to convert these all to PNG files. First thing I'm going to do is make a folder where the PNG files are going to go. I don't want them combined in the same folder with the PSD files. So we hit new folder. I'm going to call this PNG. Okay, so we got our folder made where our PNGs are going to be stored. We're just going to move this over out of the way. Next thing you want to do is set up an action. This is only a real simple two-step action. We're going to just, if you don't have your actions folder panel box open here, you just go to Windows and click on Actions and it'll open that up. If you've never used it before, don't worry, it's not complicated. We're just going to go into our little hamburger icon up here and we're going to click New Action and say Record. And this is Action 5. Just keep that in mind when you go to use it. Action 5. So the first thing we got to do is currently recording any of our steps that we do here now. We're going to go over to our layers. We're going to right click on the background layer and we're going to say merge visible. Don't choose flatten image because when you go to make your mockup it won't work if it's a flattened image. Just merge visible. Okay. So now we're just going to go File, Save As, and click in our PNG file. Oh, it's not good. We're just going to call it test. You can call it anything you want because you're going to delete this file after anyway. And as file type, you're going to choose PNG and hit save. Okay. And that's saved. Now your action is complete. You got 2 steps here. 3 steps, sorry. You got to select your layer, merge visible so that everything in there is merged into one layer, but the layer is not flattened. It's not set to a background layer. Okay, you hit save and go through your save steps, and that records the save steps. So that tells it to save it as a PNG file. So you hit stop. Okay, so that's your action, action 5. Yours might be called something different. So you go into File, Automate, Batch. So the first thing you want to do is tell it which folder to look for the files that you're going to process. And it already says action 5 here. It just remembers the last action that you were working with. So you go into Choose, and mine is in Documents, Soccer Mom Tumblers. So that's the folder that you want to start with because that's where your PSD files are located. So you hit Select Folder. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is choose the destination folder. So choose Soccer Mom Tumblers PNG. That's where you want to save your PNG files of your Soccer Mom Tumblers. So you hit Select Folder. Next thing you're going to do is check the naming. So the name is going to be set to the same name as the PSD file, and the extension is going to be whatever you chose when you did your save in your action. So that was a PNG file. So now you hit OK, and now that's running off your files for you. Now it's making PNG files, and you can just sit back and watch it while it does it. Okay, it's all done. This test one, we'll just highlight it and hit delete and get rid of it. And now that's your PNG files that you're going to use to print. When you go to print these, you can just hit Select All, right click, hit Print. Let you choose your printer. Mine is the Epson EcoTank 7750. If you want to go in and check your options for that printer, you can just hit right here. It says Options. Okay, sharpen for printing. We don't really care about that. Go into printer properties, and that's where you can choose any preset that you got for sublimation. Showing a little exclamation mark now because I'm at home and my printer's at the shop, so it doesn't detect the printer. But here I have my presets. Okay, so you choose whichever one you want for your printing option. Say OK and hit print, and that'll send these 10 files to the print queue, so you don't have to print each one individually. So we're just going to cancel that now. I hope you found this information helpful, and I hope that you can use it to apply it to your own projects. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel so you can see when we publish more content. Just hit the little bell notification. I thank you for watching.